feel like I should sing Kumbaya.
You're watching Jean Adrienne's Power Talk here on New Earth Network.
Hello and welcome to Power Talk. I'm Jean Adrienne. I'm your host, and every week I bring you cutting-edge information to support you as you make your choices and raise your vibration. I invite you to visit my website, jeanadrienne.com. While you're there, please remember to sign up for my newsletter if you haven't done so already. Because when you do, I'm going to send you a link to the online version of my Inner Speak cards. They're extremely powerful cards that will help you to clear away blocks, karma, anything that's holding you back in any or all areas of your life, and you do it all by yourself. I'm empowering you to clear your past so that you can create exactly what you want in your life. And if you don't like my newsletter, you've got my permission to opt out at any point in time and continue to use those cards forever. And this month, actually next Wednesday night, I am beginning a brand new web-based class using Zoom, the same technology that we're on right now. And the class is called Reconnecting Soul, 142 DNA Activations. And we're going to go through all 142 DNA activations. Don't know how many weeks it's going to take us, but it's going to be every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern until we're done. And it's only $144. So if you go on my website to the classes page, you'll find everything you need to do to enroll. And I look forward to meeting you next Wednesday night. But let's get right into what we want to talk about today. Because today I want to introduce you to a very special woman. She's a Rebel Belle. In fact, that's the name of her website, the Rebel Belle. A Rebel Belle plays in the mystery of creation. She carries the bounteous spirit of rebellicious deep within her core. She opens her heart and mind to boundless possibilities, and she holds nothing back. And that is Tuck Self. And you can find out more about her and her work. She's an author. She is a coach. She helps many, many people to figure out what they're made of and how they can best capitalize on a personal life strategy that will lead them into success and prosperity going forward. She's written a book. The book is called The Revolution, A Woman's Rebellicious Guide to Freedom, Liberation, and Bold Self-Expression. And Tuck is nothing if she's not a bold, self-expressive. So welcome, Tuck.
Thank you, Jean. It's so hard to sit here and not say anything. The entire time you're talking, I want to go, yeah. You know, when you're talking about your cards and everything. So it's been quite challenging to keep my mouth shut. And I am delighted to be here, ready to play, ready to talk, ready to share. And in front of everybody, I want to say thank you to you, not only for having me today, but for the most extraordinary weekend that we shared together this past weekend around human design and the Golden Pathway.
Oh my God. This was the most amazing weekend. And Tuck does this. And boy, the first thing you guys need to do is you need to hook up with her to get her to look at your human design profile and your Golden Pathway yourself. Because man, that was some life-changing information for me. Just figuring out how I had been because I didn't know my strategy. How I had been doing things for the last 68 years all wrong, where I could have capitalized on so much and, done things differently. Now, that said, I know that everything happens the way it's supposed to. And I was supposed to do all the things that I've done for, these many years, but I'm doing them differently now.
That's a long time. It's a long time when we say 60 some odd years. And, the thing that I noticed about human design that piggybacks on what you just said, I believe I was introduced back in 2003. That's a long time ago for me.
Right.
When someone introduced me to my human energy design chart, which is my energy signature, the DNA imprinting of my soul, the very archetypal expressions, the me that is here to express herself in the world. When someone, and I put in quotes red, shared with me the information in my profile in my human design chart, I felt like You know how you hold a cork underwater and you hold the cork underwater and you hold the cork underwater? That someone finally took their hand off the cork. And the real me and this emotional manifesting generator and this passion that I apparently was trying to stuff and hide and suppress was released. And that's the beauty of my chart. That's the specificity of my chart. Each one of us are so unique and so different. To me, to be able to hear someone give you the message from your higher self in your soul. I mean, what do they say? The sign over Delphi says what? Know thyself.
Know thyself.
And that's this term, I believe, that we throw around, and we're all scurrying around, trying to better ourselves and to evolve. It is the most extraordinary and really, as complicated as it sounds sometimes, the most simplistic, in quotes, tool and system for authenticity, for self-love, self-care, knowing who I am, knowing what the gifts and strengths and talents are that I bring to the table that will be different from yours. We'll do it in a completely different way, but it's that affirmation and that confirmation to take this me and boldly express herself in the world. And so I'm speaking for myself and my experience with the people that I share it with. It's like the light bulb comes on, or something's unbuttoned, or something's unzipped, and people feel free, really free.
And just in tiny little things that seem so insignificant. So, I'm a massive type A personality. I'm a driver, and I'm an expressive driver, and I push and fit square pegs into round holes, damn it, whether they want to go there or not. And that's what I've done for my entire lifetime. And when Tuck told me that because I am a pure generator, that my life strategy is to wait to respond, to back off, to not jump into anything. I don't have to do. I can say, oh, hold on a minute. Let me get back to you on that. That was huge for me, and it's changing everything I do. And I've really only known about it for a month,
I'll say very gently, we are who we are. The human race is what it is. And we are taken at a very early age out of the home, and we're plucked into these adorable little desks. And we sit there with our hands folded, and we have information, poured into us for 12 years in that same little desk. And then, in a very homogenized way, most of us go off and find jobs where, again, we put ourselves in those little desks and we continue to do that thing. Whereas what human design has the potential to do for each one of us from a very early age, God help those of us who are adults who have the great task and challenge of deconditioning and then reprogramming ourselves, to be able to look at someone's signature and see all of the beautiful gifts, the essence that that person is supposed to bring to the world, and hold the highest vision for that is awesome. Most of us have been homogenized in those little desks to make life happen, to affirm. How many of us, even myself, have had affirmations on the wall or different systems and protocols for manifesting the things in my life that I believe I need to make myself happy, right?
Right.
And the simplicity of it is when I am being the essence of my chart, when I'm being the essence of who I have designed myself to be, happiness is going to find me. Right. And I believe, again, when we hear that, even though I also was told, Jean, wait until you're given something to respond to. And I remember thinking, you got to be kidding me.
Uh-huh.
I am out the door before somebody asks me to go out the door. And it has taken from 2003, what are we in, 2016? It has been a lifelong process of trusting that when I invest my time and my talents and my energies in doing what I love to do, being in partnership and conversation with you, that's something I love to do. Working with people around human design, walking on the beach, for God's sakes, doing what I love to do, investing my time and my talents and energies in that puts my attractor field, my energy, in a space that I will naturally attract in my periphery the people and the events and the circumstances to respond to. It took forever to trust that.
Yeah, and I can see that, because my passion, like yours, is working with my clients. I really love doing the one-on-one stuff, and I love teaching what I do. And, according to my chart, I'm a natural teacher. That's what I'm supposed to be doing, is teaching at the highest expression of who I am. But I've tried to, again, force that to happen, to drag people kicking and screaming to have sessions with me and to take classes. And now I see that it's by doing things like what you and I are doing. I'm expressing and I'm teaching, and because I'm passionate about it, like you're passionate about human design, well, guess what? Then I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting here having a great conversation with the person that I love and sharing their gifts with the world. And that's way cool.
I believe we discovered this weekend that one of the qualities and the essences that you bring to the world that's correct for you is the energy of boundlessness and the energy of timelessness, that those are the places where you can go. Not only will you then empower yourself, to have the things that make you happy and give of yourself unconditionally in ways that empower your world, that is how you will be a role model as well for empowering other people, giving yourself permission that that's going to come when you're in that loose place and place of uncertainty, of boundlessness and timelessness, as opposed to that forced place that you were talking about. And I think as people, and I think as women, oh my God, I didn't know any better, Jean. I didn't know any better. I thought I was supposed to make my life happen. And that if I dared spend a day walking by the beach and making my heart feel good, that I was lazy, that I was not doing what I was supposed to do. And one of the things that we learned this weekend, or two of the things that we learned about our charts that are vital, were the type and the strategy, which is a life code that each one of us are given, which says, if you live and respond to the universe, according to this code, whether you initiate, whether you wait to respond, whether you wait to be invited, by God, guess what? You're gonna put yourself in that flow and rhythm of life, joy, creativity, and ease. Who doesn't want that?
Right. And so there's 6 different of these types that we kind of fit in. Or 5. I'm sorry, 5. Okay, there are 5 of these types that we fit into. Each of us. I mean, there are a lot of some, and there are a few of others. Can you kind of share a little bit about the types?
Yes, and it was beautiful this weekend because we had 4 of the 5 types in the room, which makes sense because the 5th type is very, very, very rare. The first type is the pure manifester. And these are people that the rest of us were conditioned to behave as. And these are people who can make life happen. They're here to initiate. They're very impactful in how they move their energy. They're empowering. They put a lot of energy into the room. And I'll say again, we had a pure manifester in the room, and she was energetic, and she was bounteous, and she was outflowy, and she was fun. And I thought, oh my God, this is great. Her strategy, and a lot, sometimes I cringe, Jean, when I hear the word strategy, because it reminds me of left brain masculine ways of being.
Right.
So if it offends anybody, you know what? Choose another word, right? But the manifestor's strategy, because they are so empowering in their energy and impactful and initiating everyone else, is to inform people before they do, so that people can be prepared for that big energy. And I have big energy, and you have big energy. And my experience is people will back up sometimes, or they'll try to stop my flow and interrupt it. And to a manifestor, that is highly, frustrating. And it makes one become angry, which is the theme of the manifestor when they don't live life according to their strategy. So if 8% of the population is meant to initiate the rest of us, that's exciting. Let the manifestors be unpredictable. Let them be somewhat empowering. And I'm going to say even somewhat provocative. Just let us know so that we can get on the train with you.
Heads up, watch out, I'm coming.
And make things happen. But again, that's just 8% of the population. 92% of us are conditioned to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, will our way through it, make it happen, affirm, affirm, affirm. And that can be so dishonoring, is the word I'm going to use, to the rest of us, if that's not the way we are naturally configured and designed to work with God and ourselves and other people. So that's the manifester.
I like the way you said that, Tuck, because, it's not wrong. It's just dishonoring, and you don't get with ease and grace what you're really wanting if you're trying to be a manifester and your DNA says you're not.
Yeah. It's that self-love thing. Self-love and know thyself. So the second and third types, if we want to look at it that way, they're the generators. And these are the people who are here to build purpose and vitality and creativity and sexuality on the planet. You and me, we are generators. And I would say that anybody that knows me and anybody that knows you, if I described a generator as someone who's always working, who's able to scurry and shuffle and papers and make things happen and build, they would go, yeah, that's tough. Does anybody know how to turn her off? It would be more of that. And our strategy is never to initiate. And that's not what I was taught to do. I've been asked questions, and I've been pushed into a corner to respond long before I was ready. And then I start responding from my head or from my heart, when our power gene as generators is right here. And it says, wait until we're given something to respond to. And when we are compelled, like our energy needs to move towards that thing. So we're not driven. That's ego, head down. But our spirit is compelled to move towards it. That's what we do. And we generate and we generate and we build and we do these glorious things on the planet, and we work and we work and we work. So it's important that we be purposeful and that we're doing and responding to what it is that we love to do, and that we're responding to being with the people that we want to be with. And when we hit our plateau, because all generators are going to hit a plateau, we will be able to quantum leap to that next level because we followed our life code and strategy and went, that feels so good. That kind of thing, or Like, don't ask me what I want to eat for dinner. Ask me, Tuck, are you hungry? So that's as simple as I could possibly make it.
Right.
So those are who we are as generators. Now, you are a pure generator, Jean. So unlike me, you're going to look resilient and rhythmic and, even somewhat predictable and grounding, because that's the energy. I call it the stabilizing energy of the generator. It's what generators feel like to me.
Okay.
The manifesting generators, which would be me. And I carry the description of both the manifestor and the generator that I've talked about. But my primary way, my modus operandi for living with the world is to first wait until respond. And when I feel that thing that you felt, like, gotta go, I envision it or do it. And only in that moment does Tucky feel, yeah, this is it. Or, oh my God, this is not it. And if it's not, I got to back up and start over. So manifesting generators can be called the great quitters of the world, or what followed me around. Can you not stick to anything, Tuck? And I consider myself someone who's masterful. I like to dive in when I'm compelled. Go to work, go to work, go to work, go to work, go to work. And if I feel like I'm complete and I've mastered it, why not put it down and go on to something else? That feels perfect and it feels great for me. So when you and I are in our powers, you're going to feel rhythmic and resilient to the world. I'm going to feel dynamic. And if by chance, Jean, we are not following our strategy, you are going to feel inside yourself frustrated, and the rest of the world is going to be frustrated with you. And you know what they're going to call me? Obstinate. Obstinate.
Not you, Tuck.
Yes. That's what I have heard. I've actually heard that quite often in my life. So Those are the generators and the manifesting generators, and together they make up about 70% of the population, somewhere around there.
Well, and let me interject if you don't mind, because one of the things that I learned this weekend is that whereas you might pick stuff up and put it down and get called a quitter, I won't ever quit. Man, I'm like that snapping turtle who won't let go until the lightning and the thunder happens. And I stay in there and bask in that frustration way long after I should have packed it up and gone home, you know. And so that's one of the things that I'm having to try to figure out as part of this new understanding of my life strategy is know when to hold them and know when to fold them.
That's good. Know when to hold them. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It was one of the intricacies of human design is that there's so many subtle layers. And when you look at your chart or your golden pathway, either one, you're looking at the story of your life. Then you truly are the architect. You get to write it. And even though we're talking about the strategy for the types and the life codes, we also talked about the chakras and the centers and whether or not how they were configured and designed, which is where you're holding on to things for longer than was healthy for you came in. But it's really a beautiful thing the way every part of this chart of yours is weaving in to this one storyline, but it's bringing in all these different threads, and you're going, oh my God, yes, that's me over there, and there I am over there, and there I am over there, and you get to pull in this beautiful synthesis that creates this quantum, catalytic entity that is you, that is extraordinary.
Right.
Okay. So, projectors. They're 3% of the population. We actually had one of those in the room as well. And projectors are what we call non-energy types, only because they don't have the natural capacity to generate or the natural capacity to manifest. It does not mean they can't. Mm-hmm. The way they interact with themselves, others, and God is different. And so what they are here to do is to wait, like the two of us. So hear me say again, only 8% initiates. Only 8% initiates. The rest of us wait for something. And so the projector is waiting, what did we say this weekend? For recognition. Recognition is everything to a projector. And how come? Because they're waiting to be recognized for their genius, for their talents, for what in their chart is expressed by them and is true and reliable. And so some of them may be great thinkers. Some of them may have beautiful hearts. Some of them might be, a little more, whatever their design is to recognize that and have someone extend them an invitation to come guide and direct. So I would extend the invitation to the projector to come guide and direct my energy because I recognize hers. And then as she guides and directs, she's doing that because she sees my gifts and will guide and direct them. So it is this beautiful figure 8 that we create. And what the projector is doing is integrating herself so that she can generate and manifest, in partnership with other people. And then she gets to go home and rest while the two of us are still out there building and working and building and working and building and working. So they're waiting for big invitations into life, relationships, new careers, new environments and moves and those types of things. And again, so far, we're still not initiating, right? Just that 8%. And then lastly, the reflector, which we didn't have. If you look at their chart, their energy signature, completely white and open, which means they're open to everything in the world. I think that's a very good thing, and it's still a very good thing. However, it might feel a little disappointing and strange to a reflector because they are open to the awe and the wonder. They're open to the environment, so they're always, disintegrating or dissolving and, taking in what's around them. And I'm going to say if that feels good, the awe and the wonder, that's great. But what if it turns? And what if they feel something that doesn't feel as loving? That would be a very quick and disappointing thing. Mm. So when they're making choices in the world, because we call them lunar beings, best thing for them to do is to wait out like a month's time before they make the decision to do something and surround themselves with, an entourage, a community of people where they can constantly hear themselves talking and processing. And at the end of that time, clarity will be there and they can make the choice that's right for them. And it would have been interesting to have had a reflector, because we looked at that person at any point in the time of the weekend and said, so how are we doing? And they would have been able to read the energy of the room as if they were a barometer and give feedback. It's great to have, and think about it. It's just what the word says, reflector. They're reflecting.
And there's just so much more to this whole human design process. I mean, I've been obsessed with it since Tom introduced me to it. I bought a book on the gene keys, and all I've done is read that book to try to understand more about who Jean is, who Jean's genes really are. And I'm just starting to scratch the surface, you know? So, I've already signed up for the next workshop in this.
Yeah. I believe I said this to you, and when I was introduced to human design back in 2003, it was said to me, and I thought, oh my God, this is terrible. But I remember people saying, when one comes to human design, we come to human design as conditioned people. And that makes sense, because at the age of 60-something or 50-something, or whenever we meet human design, we have layers of conditioning, emotional, mental, physiological. And so I was told that it takes 7 years, once introduced to your chart, to decondition. And I thought, oh my God, that is just forever. But here it is, 2016. And I get it, Jean, not only because I believe I'm a work in process. I always am, right?
Absolutely.
But learning to wait, working with that conditioning, allowing the messages, because when you look at your human energy design chart or the golden pathway, which we can talk about in a minute, they represent sequences and imprinting that lives in every cell of our bodies. We are walking energy field. We are a walking body of proteins. And the way that I show up and express in my world has everything to do with how I choose to respond to the environment. If you look at any of Bruce Lipton's work, the epigenetics, the external signal, I'm the one responding to it. I'm the one that gets to turn these genes on or off. And when I say turn them on or off, think of it as vibrational. If I'm someone with the 14th gene key or the 14th gate, I can either allow myself to be compromised and sit there and not say a word because I'm not good enough, or I don't think I have anything to offer, and it's not enough to be, whatever that compromise is for me. That's a low vibration, but I'm the one making that decision based on the external environment. Or I can say, you know what? I've got something to say. I have a voice, and it's just my voice, right?
Right.
And I can come forth with my competence and share my power and my skills with the world. And if I am in that highest vibrational response rhythm, my bounteousness is what I'm going to feel inside, and it's what I'm going to put out in the world. And for me, I have translated that, because I believe we will all translate these gene keys to mean to me what it means to me. I really do believe that. And bounteousness to me means we all live in the field of possibility, and I can have it all. And I don't mean that from a very selfish, materialistic place, but I'm a spiritual being who's meant to live in abundance, and in a sense of freedom. And if suffering comes to me, let me take a little cup of courage and move through it with, fun, and find the opportunity in the crisis. That's the bounteousness. And I can have what I want, and you can have what you want, and we can share. That's that high
enough to go around for us all.
Yeah. So I think sometimes people, when they look at human design, or they hear, because it sounds complicated, people become very static, or they will use it as yet another tool to defend their reality, to defend their ways of thinking. I was so excited when Richard came forth with the gene keys and the golden pathway. I was so excited because as a personal trainer years ago when I did that, I remember saying to my clients, my life purpose is to create relationships with people and support them and empower them to take responsibility, not just for their physical bodies, but their mental and their emotional and their spiritual bodies. You don't come to me just so I can pump iron and make your body feel great. You're really coming to talk to me because you want to be heard. And so when Richard came forth with the Gene Keys, which was a book, it is a book that he's written around the Chinese I Ching and the 64 hexagrams of the Chinese I Chings, which are archetypal expressions, ways that we show up and express ourselves in the world. He wrote the book, and for every one of them, he gave it a spectrum of consciousness, kind of like a rainbow. We have the spectrum across which I can show up in the low vibration or low consciousness, the gift, or I'll call creative, or the highest open expression of that. But the power's really in my hands. So that's how come I say we're architects. So if I were to read your chart or to share it with you, I can tell you the beautiful things about you. But with the Gene Keys and the Golden Pathway, you get to quantum leap that process and take that power, into yourself and work with yourself and then others and God to create. See, this is when I get excited. To create the most extraordinary existence for yourself. And, suffering, in quotes, in crisis you find opportunity. In suffering, we find grace. All God's children are here suffering together. We're more alike than we are different. And what a beautiful two systems of knowledge for us to have to work with individually and then come together and share collectively. Because, Jean, when I heal parts of my chart, when I move from the low to the high vibration, I'm doing it in you as well.
Absolutely, you are. Yes.
Yours. Yes, it's a beautiful thing.
It is. Well, we have blown through our time today, and this has been so much fun. So listeners, if you're interested in finding out more about who you really are and who you can be at the highest expression of yourself, get in touch with Tuck. Go to her website, The Rebel Bell, TheRebelBelle, and ask her to give you a human design reading and let you know what that's all about. I promise you, it will open Pandora's box, but in such a good way, because it gives you the key to the possibilities that lie in front of you. So thank you so much, Tuck. I really appreciate you joining us today.
I love being with you. Thank you.
You too. And so next week, listeners, I'm going to have back as my guest Lori Houston. She's my dear friend from Toronto. We're going to be talking about taking the kind of things that we've discussed today and moving them from our heart out into the world. And so look forward to seeing you again next week. And until then, remember, people who take responsibility for their lives create the reality they desire.
Yes.
Wow. Yes. Ciao.